Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the Comic Binge. This is the first official episode of Marveling Star Wars. And today I've got a fun group of guests here with me. And I can't wait to talk about it. But right now, it's just first episode. Got to get some big Star Wars fans in on this. So today I've got, wrong one. Sorry, guys. 1 second here. I got to be more coordinated. There we go. We've got Mr. Ryfin.
Hi.
Hi. Which, by the way, I'm hoping I can get you on like every time I do a Star Wars, Marveling Star Wars episode. I'm hoping.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I love in the middle of the night on Friday night. It's great.
I mean, you're not doing anything else. I mean, right?
No, I'm not.
I mean, you guys aren't doing anything, right? You live for me.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I sit by the phone all day and wait for your call. That's actually what I do for a living.
You know, that's that. I respect that. I respect that. So, but thank you for coming on. As always, I love talking to Scott. I could talk to Scott all day. Like we could probably talk for 24 hours straight, never stop talking. Which is what you do for a living anyway. But but anyway, thank you, Scott, and Mr. Carey, Mr. Chris Carey, Vile Zero.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Sorry it took so long to get you back on the show.
You have to cancel last minute one time. You get
no. Hold on. Things got busy, but here's the for those who don't know, the Comic Binge is going to be doing a regular Tuesday show of rotating episodes of different things, and so I'm going to have lots of different shows. This Tuesday we're going to have a Moon Knight show. Have a guest for coming on for that. So every Tuesday we're going to have a different show plus random other shows during the week. So I'll be calling you a lot, my friend. So just know Tuesday is going to be talk to the wife, let her know Tuesday nights might be it. All right.
Tuesdays are good.
Yes, Tuesdays are good. Excellent. And if you're watching this live, which probably not, but if you're watching this later on, hit like, comment, all that garbage because for whatever reason YouTube sucks and I have to get that to get people to watch the show. So please, I'd appreciate it. So anyway, today we're going to talk about Boba Fett. And if you're wondering what Marveling Star Wars is all about, Marveling Star Wars is all about Star Wars comic books. And if you're wondering, well, why is Marvel in the title? And you're going to talk about mostly Dark Horse books. Marvel puts out most of it anyway, so at this point they own it. Whatever. We'll just keep it simple. And I like the name Marvel and Star Wars. It's nice. So anyway, before we get into the comic books, this is going to be the Boba Fett required reading episode. Now, so if you love the Book of Boba Fett, or if you're a big Boba Fett fan and you haven't dived into the comics as much, this is the episode for you because we're going to give you, in my opinion, I think 6 essential comic books to read, storylines. Sorry, I've been sick, so my voice is a little hacked. I think for you to read and get into. So I'll kind of go around the horn, get general quick thoughts about the Book of Boba Fett because I kind of don't know what either of you think, to be honest. So I'll go with you first, Chris. You're a big Boba Fett fan. What was your take? What was your take on the Book of Boba Fett?
It's interesting because the Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett, I think, is very different from the Boba Fett that we got a glimpse of in The Mandalorian. When Boba Fett takes out all those stormtroopers like by himself, basically, that's like wish fulfillment at its fine, right? Every Boba Fett hardcore fan's like, yes, I knew it. Like, if we'd ever got to see him in action like that, that's totally what it would have been like. And the Boba Fett that we see in the Book of Boba Fett is much more like laid back. He loses fights. He takes his hits. I mean, he gives it out, but he takes it too.
Does.
I know that there was, I don't know, like some people are like, it's so slow or whatever. And yeah, I mean, sometimes to me it felt a little slow at times, but yeah, I like the character, and each episode I found something that I liked. And the last couple episodes, when it basically turns into The Mandalorian season 2.5, I mean, that's just great stuff. I mean, Boba Fett riding a Rancor. I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So, I mean, it was good. It was different than what I expected it would be. I don't think they really ever honestly answered the question of why he wanted to be the new Jabba the Hutt. He says he's going to be a crime lord, but he's like doing everything that a crime lord wouldn't do, kind of.
Yeah.
He's kind of getting rid of crime and being like a good. I don't know, but I don't know. They're probably setting him up for something later on down the line with the Mandalorian or something else.
Yeah. I have a theory on that, but I'll get Scott's take first. Scott, as you know, and really quick, Chris, you're a hardcore Boba Fett fan. Did it scratch that itch for you? Be honest.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
You know, his appearance in The Mandalorian scratched the itch hard. And when The Mandalorian ties back into the show, I think it scratched maybe less of a Boba Fett itch and just more of like a I love this kind of Star Wars storytelling right now.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
And you know, I will say him crawling out of the Sarlacc at the end. I mean,
So good.
That's top notch stuff, right?
Chef's kiss. Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
I think it was good, but did it scratch the itch? No.
That's fair.
Boba Fett as the crime lord isn't the Boba Fett that I am kind of like obsessed with. I'm obsessed with like Boba Fett, the anti-hero with the
Right.
you know, the twisted kind of moral compass code kind of thing.
Right. All right, Scott, as a hardcore old school Star Wars fan, like OG Star Wars fan, like you're that old. I had to take a shot.
Thanks.
I love you. You know I love you. No, but as an OG Star Wars fan, and I know you like Boba Fett a lot.
Yeah.
What did it scratch that itch? What was your take on the series itself?
It in the overall, I think it's a net positive, if that means anything.
No,
but there was a lot to pick apart. It's interesting because Chris is talking about how it didn't explain a lot of it, him wanting to be the daimyo and all that. It also kind of didn't bring to me the Sand People story around fully. You know, when you spend that much time in the past, as they did in the first few episodes of this thing, you expect that to have some form of a dramatic payoff by the end. And these are the storytellers behind this. I mean, Favreau and Filoni are magnificent storytellers. If there's a criticism I have of Favreau in his Star Wars verse work, it is that he tends to kind of underwrite. I think there are times when he's written an episode that there could be a lot more to it, but he's so busy just kind of hitting the high points and getting in and getting out that maybe sometimes he forgets to delve into and dig in and find some of those better moments.
Right.
But again, there were things I liked. I will tell you that I just about jumped out of my seat when Black Chrysanthemum first showed up.
Oh, dude.
Because he was, and I know you may consider this sacrilege, but my belief is that Cesar Romero's Joker is the Joker that was in the comic books at that point.
No, I think
he is that guy.
Yeah.
Black Chrysanthemum was the guy from the comic books. And when he showed up, I just went, holy crap. I mean, that's him. There was no questioning.
He leapt off of the page onto the screen. Yeah.
Absolutely he did. So, I mean, things like that I loved. I was not in love with the mods. I got in a lot of fights with people about the mods. And here's my thing about the mods. Okay. And it just comes down to basic storytelling logic. They don't make sense. They have these expensive additions to their bodies. They have very expensive scooters, whatever you want to call them. And that's all well and good. But Tatooine's very hard on these things. So they have to have money to keep maintaining them. And then they're complaining about the price of water. And look, they have to be rich kids or none of this stuff happens. But if they are rich kids, one thing I know about rich kids, they don't care how much they pay for water. They don't care how much they pay for stuff. In fact, they like to pay too much for stuff. Okay. And if there'd been like the whole town had said, we're dry and we're starving, we got no water, then okay, fine. But it was just these little punks that didn't have a job that were complaining. So that whole thing bothered me.
All right. I have one retort to the whole mod thing and spending their money. I have known so many people that would be just dirt poor and buy tattoos constantly.
Yes.
Like, so
absolutely.
I do think there is some realism with that, in my opinion. Okay.
But they don't appeal to somebody to say, please make my tattoos cheaper.
Well,
they go, look, I paid $300 for this.
Right. That's what I think. That kind of, to me, that's what I looked at that. I don't think the mods were perfect. I will agree. I think their scooters should have looked a little more dirty And I think if they were dirtier, not like completely like just like covered
Yeah.
in mud, but if they were like it's a little bit dirtier, I think I'd accept it. Like I wouldn't, they wouldn't be as hated. I actually don't
What if
mind them
they
as
just
much.
drove faster?
But this was also, to me, they were part of probably my biggest concern about the show, which was that Boba Fett is the hero, and he seldom seems to act on something. He seems to be acted upon. Everybody is saving him. He's Fennec Shand is constantly saving him, bailing him out. The mods are constantly bailing him out. Grogu and Din Djarin show up, and they save him and bail him out. He very seldom is the guy saving the day. Now, he showed up with the Rancor at the end, but throughout the series, you don't see him taking a lot of action. You see other people stepping in and taking action for him. And as a hero, I want to see him act. Now, one thing I will say, though, and I don't think anybody has mentioned this, I think you got to give Tamura Morrison a lot of credit for he lost a substantial amount of weight between his Mandalorian appearance and in fact, when you see the flashback scenes, you can tell a distinct difference in his size. And as somebody who has been through the process,
we both have.
We've both been through it.
And
you know how much work that is and how hard that is. And the fact that he went and did that instead of just going, you know what, I'm Boba Fett and screw it, I'm doing it. To me, it showed that he cares.
He got leader as it went. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
he definitely got leader.
I want to give that to him.
I will say, I know it's whatever. It looked odd at times with him and how big he was and stocky, because he wasn't like a again. I want to make this. I say this very gently. He wasn't fat. He was just stocky. Like football, player bulking up, like thick dude. Dude's not like, he wasn't like he was whatever, but he definitely slimmed the muscle down once because in that last episode he looked more normal. If that makes sense, but. But anyway, I sounds like we mostly liked it. A couple problems. I think I probably liked it more than all you guys, only because I think that there were some clunkers. Like obviously the chase scene with the mods was pretty brutal. It's but whatever. But I will say that second episode of the Book of Boba Fett is some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. That episode where it shows him learning and being a part of the Tusken Raiders. And it's crazy how good that episode is. Like, it's just the way it's told, everything. I think Black Chrysanthemum shows up. It's just like, whoa. And by the way, Black Chrysanthemum, I almost forgot. We're doing the comic binge, right? How crazy was it to see? I like, you talked about it. Like, when it's funny, even with Marvel and for this stuff, I try to wait to watch it. So I'll just take the apps and I'm like, get off. I don't even want to like look at them because I'm going to stay off and look at the stuff, for the first time. I was never spoiled for Grogu. I was never spoiled for anything. And I'm going to keep it that way. And so when I showed up and I sat down and my wife and I watched the Book of Boba Fett, I was like, whoa, I said, what the F? Like, I just said, what the F? I was so happy because he literally leapt from the comic page to screen. It was incredible adaptation. Incredible. And Black Chrysanthemum is a fantastic character. And I think, if anything, the Book of Boba Fett, I think overall, I think in The Mandalorian, of all across the mediums of animation, comic books, it shows you how important those things are. And when a character kind of has a resonance of the comics or the movie, or excuse me, the animation or the books, there's a reason why. I've always said this about the Marvel characters. There's a reason why these characters survive for so long. They resonate. It's not. How many Charlton characters can you name? I mean, you, Jeff, or not, Scott, you can do that, but not you. Chris,
E-Man.
No, Charlton?
E-Man was a Charlton at first, wasn't he?
No.
No. Are you sure?
Hold on. OG Charlton characters.
Yeah, E-Man was an original Charlton character.
You're killing me, man. Is that
okay?
I rest my case.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is that
I gotta look this up now. Go
Charlton.
ahead.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that it just shows you that when a character hits with the main audience, it probably means that they probably you could probably adapt them later on. And I think Ahsoka and I think Black Chrysanthemum is only showing you that when they resonate in the animation, books, and comic books, it usually means they can be translated to live action. You want to add something here? Was your He-Man comment?
No, E-Man. I said E-Man.
Oh, I thought you said He-Man. Like,
No, E-Man, because he was an old Charlton guy.
was E-Man? I don't know who E-Man is.
Now he wasn't part of the guys that became the
Crusaders.
Watchmen, but
no, Crusaders. Anyway,
I'm looking at he was Charlton 73 to 75.
My bad.
E-Man.
Okay, you can't. All right, you can't do that because Scott, he's old school. All right, so let's get stop it. All right, let's get to the meat of it. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Assume your positions as I get ready here. So we're gonna go with I think I'll actually, you know what, Scott, I'm gonna let you go. I already know where you're gonna go with this one first. So which one are we gonna cover first for essential required Boba Fett comic reading?
No, you know what? No, I'm saving the best for last.
You suck. All right, I set you up.
Do you want me to go with Marvel first? I'll go with Marvel. Okay,
right.
We'll go with the Marvel because look, I got my Gene Day.
Yep.
My Gene Day Marvel shirt. And and you got your Tom Palmer Marvel sitting right there, which I love Tom Palmer.
That is beautiful.
How can you not love Tom Palmer?
Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing. This is by far one of the best, I think, Star Wars covers ever. Like bar none. So this is, for those who don't know, this is the original Marvel comic book series, issue 81. I loved this comic when I was a kid. I tore it up to shreds. I had to rebuy it. Bought it for like $5 like 15 years ago. Now it's worth way more. And it is just it is to me one of the best Star Wars comics ever written by Joe Duffy with incredible art breakdowns by Tom Palmer's and Ron Friends. But this is great. This is a great comic. This is where you get essentially how Boba Fett, the idea of Boba Fett coming back originates in this comic book. So it's great. Chris, what's your take on this? Have you read this comic book? What's your history with this comic book here?
Yeah, I mean, I got the old Marvel collections back. Geez, I was in high school, I guess. So read it. Boba Fett had already been back though in my head, right? So for me, reading it, I'm coming at it from a distance kind of thing. So for me, it was, I guess it hit fine. If you don't maybe read it in the moment or anything, maybe it loses some of its impact. But I don't know. The Marvel comics in general, to me, the original run they get better as it goes on, I'll say, but
it's pretty bonkers. It's pretty bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, that's great stuff, but.
Well, I think it's funny because it loses me towards the end of the series, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like towards the end, the art gets
once we get to Cynthia Martin territory, and I'm not trying to call anybody out, but
it's true. When Cynthia Martin takes over, it's like it's almost unreadable.
The look is bad, the scripts are bad. I mean, just nothing is happening.
And Joe Duffy does great work because she still writes it, right? She's great. She's a great writer. Like she took
over for Dave Michelinie.
Who
was doing a fantastic job and got a little upset apparently with the way things were going in editorial with the Star Wars book. And I know that because of the episode of My Star Wars Story. And because we had him on.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Thanks for reminding me. She took over where he left off, and she continued what he was doing, and it's almost seamless. A lot of times when a new creator comes onto a book, you go, "Oh, there's a tonal shift," and she just kind of picked up where he was and kept going exactly the direction he was going in.
Yeah, no, she did a good job, and this is right here how Boba Fett originally comes back, and it's the only I'm going to spoil from the book. It's a one and done issue, but I'm not gonna lie. When the Book of Boba Fett happened, I was kind of hoping it was like this, but it's not too far off because
it's pretty similar.
Yeah, because as we see here, I'm sorry, here. Sorry, this one.
Yep.
Come on,
That's it
right here. That's it. That's pretty much verbatim what happens, and so that was pretty cool. I thought it was a good kind of a nod, almost a nod, if you will. But don't get me wrong, the Book of Boba Fett part was awesome too. I definitely liked what we got, but honestly, this is a great, fun issue. I don't want to spoil too much because it's really good. But this is, I think, this is how Boba Fett originally comes back. The whole idea of Boba Fett even surviving is, I think, is because of this comic book. Joe Duffy deserves a lot of credit. I'll be honest, a lot of credit for that. And I don't think it's Scott, I think you'd agree that I think this is the reason why we got Boba Fett back in the first place, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, not to spoil too much, but it seems obvious to me anyway that by the end of the book, they're under orders from Lucasfilm to not really advance anything.
No,
It seems like they've been like, you've got to keep everybody in exactly the same state they are right now.
yeah, it's that's a little rough. Not gonna lie, a little rough. Chris,
That does become the frustration of that book as it goes on.
it does because they try to up the stakes, but there's some good stuff in it. But no,
I was a big expanded universe guy, so it was always kind of weird how the Marvel comics kind of lived like in a bubble. It really wasn't until, I don't think, Legacy of the Force, when Lumia came back, where they really acknowledged anything happened in the Marvel comics in the broader expanded universe. So kind of reading it from a point of view where I had read so many of the books at that point, and a lot of the Dark Horse stuff, kind of going back and being like, wait, there was like this whole like gigantic galaxy spanning war, and they just never talk about it. I'm like, when in the timeline does this fit? So
there. By the way, this is besides the reveal of Boba Fett being puked up by the Starlight Pit. This is my favorite page from the book. This layout by Friends is just, I mean, it's as dynamic as hell. Look at this thing. Dude, this is just.
There's a lot of motion in this book. I mean, there's just there are panel after panel after panel that just jump out with motion. It's really, I mean, Friends is just a master anyway.
He is so underrated. It's disgusting. He should be talked about as one of the best to ever pencil, in my opinion.
Well, but I mean, he kind of has a history of being on underrated books. I mean, when you think about it, this is a book that was kind of on the downturn because it was post Return of the Jedi, and he did I think he did every issue of Spider Girl.
He did,
which is an amazing series.
He did. Pat Olaf started it, and then
that's right. That's right.
And then Friends, Friends was inking it, and then he took over after Pat bailed, and then
that's right.
And so which by the way, that is a series I've been meaning to read for a long time.
Oh, it's an amazing series. One of my favorites of all time.
Hey, I love the Falcon and Friends together. Their Thor run is underrated. I love their Thor run. I love their Thor run. So, any last thoughts for this required issue of Star Wars here, Boba Fett?
Dialogue. I think Joe Duffy does a really good job of capturing the dynamic between Solo and the princess. They're at a point in their relationship at the end of Return of the Jedi where, they have acknowledged that they have feelings for each other. So where do you find moments to have them kind of do that little cutesy squabble thing that they tend to do? She finds ways to make it happen, and they're great. There's at one point where he's going into a bar and she's trying to go with him and he's not letting her. And she says, why? They don't allow women in here? Oh, they allow women. They don't allow ladies. And you feel that thing there. I mean, it's you feel that chemistry between the actors in the pages of the comic.
Yeah. Chris, what about you?
What about me? What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Any last thoughts about or last words about this?
No, I don't think. I think everything that's been said.
This is definitely, you want to read this. It'll take you like 10-15 minutes to read it. It's fun as hell though. I think I love this series. All right, so I'm gonna go with my next one, and this is a big deal for me. This is a comic book, a Star Wars comic that no one talks about really, I feel, and I've actually had the benefit and pleasure of interviewing the writer myself. Justin on the Forcecast back in the day, he let me do a whole episode of interviewing Andy Diggle, who wrote this fantastic comic called Boba Fett: Twin Engines of Destruction.
Wait.
What?
You interviewed Andy Diggle? This was Andy Mangles.
Andy Mangles. Sorry, Diggle's different. He's the English writer. Excuse me, Andy Mangles. Andy, I'm sorry. But Andy Mangles. He and Andy actually did a lot of writing for Bantam Books. He did the original Essential Guide to Characters, which I still love, and really cool guy, super nice dude. great. I don't know if I'm not sure the episode's gone now, but I had a great talk with him about the comic book, and it really have surprised me after reading this. I've read this so many times, man. I can't even tell you. And I'm surprised they didn't give Andy more comics to write and more Boba Fett comics to write, because this is just. If you could tell me what sums up Boba Fett to me without the films, it's this one comic book here. And Chris, you're nodding your head like you're 1,000% into this. So
Yep.
I'm really quickly, for those who don't know, this was a serialized comic series that was in the Star Wars Galaxy magazine.
I did not know.
Yeah, and they put it. I randomly found the comic book at the comic store, and went, "Oh wait, it's the comic book from the because I didn't have all of them, so I bought it and I've had it ever since." And it is just the most underrated, unknown. It feels best Star Wars comic no one talks about. It's fantastic. Chris, tell me your history with Twin Engines of Destruction. It sounds like you love this comic as much as I do.
It's the quintessential all-time best Boba Fett comic ever. For me, it's like if you're going to read one comic about Boba Fett, this is the one to read. It's phenomenal, and I don't even remember like how I did. I think it was like I went through a phase where I was like, I need like everything that Boba Fett is in ever, and I think that's probably how I found it. And I mean, it's post Return of the Jedi. You know, it's Boba Fett. He's like assumed dead. Somebody's kind of like stolen his identity, sort of. So he's got to like prove he's the best. He's got to take down this guy who's masquerading as him, and he doesn't just take him down. He just destroys him, and he does it in like the most badass way. And oh my god, I love it. I love everything about it. Just the artwork is just it's so good. The one-liners he gives the bet like this is quintessential Boba Fett.
It's crazy. I meant to grab some pages from this.
Not to interrupt. This is the Boba Fett that is in The Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You know, I meant to grab some pages because John Stacy, I believe, is I thought it was John Stacy, but maybe I'm wrong. But the artist, I was surprised that I don't know what else he's done, but his Boba Fett was great.
Oh.
And one of the things I thought was interesting was, besides I think that one comic in the Marvel series, Scott, but
Yes.
you know what I'm talking about. I forgot his name already. Is it Joda Cast? Was that his name?
Jodo Cast, yep.
Yeah, Joda Cast.
Oh, okay. John Nato did the art. Yeah.
Yeah, John Nato. Yeah, I'm not sure what else has he done. Do you know anything?
He was doing well. You know, it's funny. He was doing a lot of Star Wars back then in the early Dark Horse days. He did a lot, and Jordy Ensign inked this. And Jordy, she was. I was in the CompuServe Star Wars forum all the time back then, and she was a member of the forum. So we interacted with her. She was part of our group, and, along with Pablo Hidalgo and those guys. But she actually was dating the guy that was in charge of the forum. So it was all kinds of interestingness there. But yeah, they were a really neat art team. I liked what they did. But they together did a lot of stuff back then.
Did they? I gotta check it out, man, because I love this. The dynamics of this book is really, really good. I love the art. I thought the art was great.
Mhm.
But I brought up the Joda casting because I thought it was interesting, because this is the first time since then we got a different Mandalorian armor character. And I thought that was very interesting, because I didn't know, or I was like, oh, well, how did he get it? And what was interesting about this book, they do talk about how you're masquerading as Boba Fett. And when I was rereading it, I thought, well, wouldn't that just be another Mandalorian now? Like, what would that mean? So
And he also mentions some of the Mandalorian characters from the Marvel comics.
does he? I forgot.
Mentions two of
When
them.
he unmasks him, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a nobody. You're not Fen. You're not
Shiza.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay,
You're not
okay.
Dala. He mentions both of them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll see. It's been a minute. So, but that's great. Oh,
That's the
wait,
first appearance of Joda Cast right there.
wait. I can't even see it. What? That's Joda Cast?
Yeah, Tatooine Manhunt, the Star Wars role-playing game from 1988. Because I guess they didn't want to use Boba Fett in this, so they created Joda Cast for this, and that's
Wait.
where he first shows up.
What? Wait, hold
Yeah.
on a second.
he
But General
shows up in
Cass,
a good story too. But I think
yeah,
that Ron is impersonating him.
but
Yeah, he's impersonating Boba Fett. But there he is right there. See? Whoops.
no, I see him now. But who's the guy in the Marvel comic that your shirt's based off of?
Oh no! Well, the shirt technically, that's the funny thing is a lot of people suggest that's Finn Shiza, but it's Boba Fett in the shirt because they're going after Boba Fett, and it's meant to kind of be more iconic than story.
But Shin, that's his name though.
Finn Shiza,
yeah,
and Toby Dalla, who's the other guy that he mentions in that book.
yeah.
Who's the decent guy,
Which
he's there, everybody.
yeah. So this was a really interesting, like I think this sums up Boba Fett perfectly. The writing's great. Like again, I showed it here. This just sums it up for me. This is my face. That is just.
It's my favorite line.
That is. I honestly wanted Boba Fett to say that in the season. I really thought he might have. I was like, he's gonna say it. He's gonna say it because he wasn't wearing his helmet as much. So I thought maybe there's gonna be a thing where he's gonna say, you know what, I'm a Mandalorian. This is my face. But didn't yet. Not yet. Not yet. No. Anyway. But I think there's room. There's room.
There's also actors in their contracts and wanting to show their faces and. That's why every superhero movie, by the end of it, nobody's got a mask on, for crying out loud. Drives me nuts. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. I'll say this. Doesn't well, no, it does happen for No Way Home. I'm like, wait, no, it does happen for No Way Home because Peter gets his mask off. Yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. No Way Home. I love it. God damn it. They did it.
Yes.
They had to do it.
Exactly.
Oh man, what are we doing? So I think we all agree that Scott, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you. What was your take on Twin Engines of Destruction? I'm sorry.
No, I like it. I mean, it's I read it when it first was serialized because I have all those magazines.
Those great magazines, man.
I'm a guy who never strayed from the faith. So
you had more income than I did. I was a kid, so I didn't have any money.
Yeah, well, I think I was freshly married at that point, so I didn't really have any either. But
that's fair.
But you did what you could. You did what you had to, really, with that stuff. And I early on in my Star Wars collecting, was I love the toys and I love the books and all that. And I really, at some point when I did get married, I had to go, all right, I don't have the money to get everything I want, so what do I get? And it really came down to me to story. What is it that I really love the most? Do I love tchotchkes and gadgets? And no, I love the stories and the storytelling. So I focused on the books and the comics and the music and the video releases. And so this was a thing. I got the magazines. I knew they had comics in them, and I'm reading this stuff. And Andy Mangles was already a very known quantity at the time, as you mentioned. And I thought he put together a Boba Fett that at the time we wanted to see. I mean, he kind of gave us exactly the Boba Fett we were looking for at that point.
Absolutely, yeah. I really think Twin Engines. It baffles me they didn't give him some kind of miniseries. I mean, I'm not sure if they did or not. Again, there's a lot of Dark Horse comics that I've not read because I was in and out. There's a lot of mediocre stuff. I'll be honest. There's a lot of mediocre stuff, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I read this. I'm like, this is a tight. I mean, granted, it was written to be a tight story because you're doing 6 pages per magazine or whatever, but it's so well crafted. I'm like, why did they give Andy more?
And my understanding is he ran afoul. He leaked some information at some point. That's what I'd been told at the time.
Wow.
So he kind of let something out that he wasn't supposed to let out, and that kind of did it for him.
That sucks. I like Andy. Good dude.
But and like you say, he's doing it in 6-page installments, but it's not just that. It's also that at the end of every chapter, when they did that, it's got to have a hook. It's got to have, I don't want to call it a cliffhanger, but it's certainly got to have a hook to bring you back next time. So when you do that, now you're punching that story with a hook every few pages. And it really punctuates things well every few pages. You don't find yourself getting bored or restless.
No, in my opinion, this is one of the best Star Wars comics ever written and drawn.
Great book.
It's a great. It's if you're a Boba Fett fan and you haven't read this comic book, you need to get on that right now. Just buy it. It's worth it. It's fantastic. Now,
especially when he disguises himself as the leader of the
what's
the Doom Patrol.
Oh my God.
That's
Oh
what he looks
God.
like.
He does. He does. So the next one is I discovered this comic actually about 4 or 5 years ago because again I was out Dark Horse Comics at that point. I just had not read as many Star Wars comics at that time. Star Wars Blood Ties. Yeah, I have. And my comic is hacked. I bought like a really crappy version. And I love it. It's just hacked. But excuse me. This one was really surprising, and I'm surprised. I didn't realize Tom Taylor wrote this. Um,
Hmm.
that was interesting. He's very a little more controversial. For some people, not really for me, but he's writing Nightwing right now, which has been critically acclaimed. Which I need to read. I've heard nothing but great things about it. He's writing the new Superman comic book too, about his son Jonathan. And I had no idea he wrote this. After it wasn't until after I was going back to it, I went, oh crap. This is a very interesting 4 issues. Now I want to make that very clear. This is 4 issues, and it's very and the art. And you're really good with your knowledge of this stuff, Scott. And Chris, I'm not sure how much you know of the story. The art, I don't know the artist very well. I don't know him at all. Please continue. Go ahead.
Oh, Chris Galf. He came to my attention because back then I would buy anything Battlestar Galactica too.
Okay.
And I don't remember if it was before Rob Liefeld got the rights or after, but he had a little publishing company called Realm Press in the 90s. And he got the rights to Battlestar Galactica. And he started doing it. And what I remember then was, and it was really early in his career, was that he had the hardware down. And I mean, he could do ships and battles and all that, but he didn't quite have people down. And I feel like by the time this came out, he'd made a lot of progress. Because
Okay.
I like this. I like this art. But when I saw Blood Ties and I saw his name on there, it really triggered a lot of that old Battlestar Galactica stuff that he did.
Interesting. So
It's all
I got
painted.
yeah. So
Yeah.
here's the thing I want to say. It's very obvious Taylor, it seems from my perspective, wrote for him and didn't do a lot of small panels. There's small
Mhm.
panels here or there, but it's very big. It's very like 2, 3 panels per page, 4 panels per page. And talk about I read this the whole thing in like 20 minutes. It
Yeah.
was I mean, and I'm not trying to be mean, but at the same time, it's fantastic. It is
Yeah.
as concise. We're talking about tight storytelling. um, I felt this was you couldn't get as tight as this, man. This was tight and on the money and really enjoyable and really got some great moments. Again, talk about cinematic storytelling for comic books. This to me defines cinematic comic books because it almost like manga. And again, I'm not a big manga guy. I'm trying to get more into it. One thing I like about manga is that their storytelling's so good that they only need 2, 3 panels per
Hmm.
page, and but they can make everything so dynamic and interesting. But in American comics, sometimes it takes them a lot more panels to get that point across because and again it's just a preference, maybe whatever. But manga, I feel like sometimes less is more, and manga really gets it. This was kind of the same thing. You could almost feel like you're getting ripped off, I think, a little bit. Like, not quite like, you know, splash page every page kind of thing, which is, again, a novelty. But, excuse me, at the same time, it was very cinematic and it was really well done, well written. And Tom, I thought, did a fantastic job of voicing all the characters and the characterizations. Um, Chris, what was your history with this series? Did you read it before today?
I,
Um,
so I read it when it first came out, and I never read the sequel series. But
I haven't
it's
either.
it's funny
Boba
that
Fett is dead.
Boba
Yeah,
Fett is dead. As soon
Yeah.
as I saw that, I was like, all right, this is stupid.
fair.
This one's interesting to me because I was never a fan of Jango Fett.
Really?
I didn't like that. I grew up loving Boba Fett, and then you get to a point where Attack of the Clone comes out, and all of a sudden Boba Fett is just the clone, right? And it's
Right.
Jango Fett who's the big bounty hunter, and he's the total. I feel like there's nothing in the expanded universe or the Legends universe that really kind of gravitated me to Jango in the same way as
Right.
Boba. And if you go back to the first cover that you had, It says it right there, right? It's father and clone. So they're already throwing Boba Fett's the clone, man. And I get they want to tell this story and it spans generations and like that. That's cool. But for me, like I don't want to read about Jango Fett. Like I don't care about Jango Fett. Like at the end of the day, I like Boba, and relegating him into the now. I like what they're doing with his character in the new canon now. Having Tamora come back and he's him, and I think there's some interesting story dynamics that they can kind of play with. And Django is, now that Legends is Legends, he's a completely unknown character. And
it's a good point.
But I don't know, just didn't really do it for me. And the and nothing against the comic. I mean, the artwork is beautiful. It looks almost like a painting.
Okay.
I think the ships look better than the people. But the action sequences are good and the explosions are great and everything. But for me, it's just not. It's not. I mean, it's not Cam Kennedy. Like that's.
Well,
to me,
yeah.
That's like that's
See,
like quintessential Boba Fett.
It's got a better palette than Cam Kennedy, though. To me,
True. Later Cam Kennedy's pretty good though. Early Cam Kennedy,
any Cam Kennedy for me is good. So I will make that very clear. And there's a reason why I didn't pick those comics, which I'll get to in a moment. So Chris, you didn't like these 4 issues then? See,
not that I didn't like it. It just didn't.
But Boba Fett's the main character. He's the main character in the whole thing.
3 out of 4 issues at least.
Yeah, at least. Like he's like the main character.
But he's in the shadow of Django. I think that's Chris's thing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. I think. Okay. So I have my reason for picking this, but Scott, I think would you agree with me that this is a required reading for Boba Fett fans?
Let me just say this,
please.
P-Thug. I want to say thank you for having me read this.
Oh.
Now, Chris and I are going to differ on this.
Okay, good.
I want to say thank you because I read it when it first came out, and then I put it away. Because there's just so much content. There's just so much stuff. I was upstairs because I don't have enough room in this office still to put all my Dark Horse trades. Because I have every Dark Horse trade. And so I had to go upstairs and I'm just flipping through everything trying to get to this. And I got to tell you, there's so much stuff. And you put these things away and you don't reread so many of them. And this one, I so loved this.
I know.
The premise grabbed me.
Yes.
And we can talk about the premise, right? Because it's
kind
of stuff, right?
No, go ahead.
But essentially he is kind of showing Boba the ropes. He's showing Boba how to become him. Because that's and I guess part of it too is, and Chris, you're gonna get with this because you're a dad.
That's right.
This is dad stuff that's happening at the beginning.
That's true. I haven't read this since.
See, so. we have kids, and ultimately the job of a kid is to replace us in the world, and he is literally teaching Boba how to replace him in the world. When he is not here, Boba takes over for him, and so you get that, and then you have the intrigue of them being sent out to assassinate somebody who turns out to be a clone, and then you find out that Django's not quite as heartless as he portrays himself, and then you snake Boba into it a generation later. I
love it.
I love this book.
Word.
You know, we were talking earlier about how the Sand People thing in Book of Boba Fett didn't come back around and have some kind of an emotional resonance and kind of bring it all back around. And this has that. Those little things that happen at the beginning resonate at the end and come back around right at the end of the story and just bring you home and just go, you just put a bow on this package.
Yeah.
I really love this. And now, and Chris is right in that the hardware looks better than the people, but that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was saying about his work on Battlestar Galactica. But I will tell you, if you look at Scout's work on Battlestar versus this, the people are a lot better than they were there. But I love the art. I love the look of it. I love the story that's being told. But I'm not necessarily, I think, as much of a Boba Fett purist as Chris is. So I adored this. And again, I appreciate the fact that you asked us to read this because I had forgotten how good the story is.
It's when I was going in through like my height, like I read this during like right before TFA, and I was like, I was reading anything Star Wars, and I'm catching up on a bunch of books. And when I got to this, I was like, oh, I'll read some Boba Fett comic books. And I read this, I was like, this is really good. Like, this is a really good story. And I
Mhm.
don't want to spoil it because there's a really cool like thing in here. And I just want to say that the reason why I picked it was like exactly what you said. It shows, a little bit of like mentorship, like, okay, Boba, Boba, you have to do it like this, blah, blah. It didn't, it shows Django has a little bit of a soft side. He's not just this crazy animal. And I think the third thing is kind of like just it was wrapped up again. I can't stress enough how much this was not a lot of panels. This was only 4 comic books, and there was a very emotional story that you conveyed, and they wrapped up pretty quickly. And again, in a very natural way. What I was impressed with. Again, the script was really good. I thought it was crisp. You're gonna burn through this thing like crazy. That's not a detriment, but like you said, Scott, there's an emotional tale here that I loved, and I wanted Book of Boba Fett to have something like this. And again, I think there's elements here you could definitely use for a second season somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man, the premise is just the premise is
Perfect.
why no one else has picked this up since they restarted the universe. I don't know. I mean, just the premise is amazing.
Yeah, and that's why I want to keep things spoiler free because you
Yeah.
won't really see it coming. You see it coming in the first issue, but it just gets better. And I feel like the very end when Boba Fett teams up, the bounty at the end, he's like, "This is how many credits I have." And he's like, "Okay,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
God, dude, that part was
Yeah. But see that reminds me though of the Andy Mangles Twin Engines of Destruction
Yeah.
Boba Fett at that
Yeah.
point. I mean that Boba Fett right there reminds me of that one.
Yeah, no, and again, Chris, you don't have to love everything we like. That's totally legit. But I feel like this is a defining Boba Fett characteristic, in my opinion, and I just think it's yeah. I think if you're gonna read any Boba Fett comic books, in my opinion, from a character standpoint, I think that Blood Ties at least the first. I haven't read the second one. I had forgot there was. I didn't know there was a sequel, to be honest, until to today. Um, excuse me, but this is I think to me quintessential Boba Fett. I think this is verbatim what you need to read for the character. But if you wanted to rebuttal anything we're saying, go right ahead before I comment on Cam Kennedy.
No, I have nothing to rebut. I mean, look, you like what you like, and sometimes you can just recognize that something's maybe not necessarily your cup of tea, and that's fine.
Well, I think a lot of it too also depends on. I don't want to go to the expectations card, but a lot of it does kind of go into here's the kind of Boba Fett I like,
Yep.
and maybe they're not serving me the Boba Fett I like in this story, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
When I love Sanford and Son, my God, I love Sanford and Son, but you know what? Red Fox left it to go do a variety show. It sucked. That wasn't the Red Fox I like. I like Sanford Red Fox. I like Red Fox on those dirty records.
You're killing me.
I don't like him on a variety show. I don't like him playing Obi-Wan Kenobi on Donnie and Marie.
God, I love you, Scott. I freaking love you. Like I honestly, like if I could get you on every show, I would. You're like the big brother. I have my big brother and I are really close. But you're like my second big brother. I'd want to be around me all the time because you're throwing this stuff at me. And I'm speechless, and so I love it though. So I meant to grab again. I was busy today, so I didn't have time to do this. But I meant to grab a Cam Kennedy stuff because there's a reason why I didn't have his stuff on here. Now, I think his Boba Fett is perfection. I want to make that very clear. Cam Kennedy is a phenomenal storyteller, phenomenal artist talent, and I think he is one of the best, most underrated comic artists maybe ever. Again, Ron Friends, Cam Kennedy, these are all legends in my opinion. The reason why I didn't have, and I read these comic books trying to get to the meat of it, and I got to tell you, I think for me, the stories just aren't strong from a characteristic standpoint. John Wagner is the writer who wrote those comic books, and for me, it's very much like Twin Engines, but it's just more of like just kind of it's more candy, which again I love candy. I still like those stories. but it just didn't really feel defined him as a character anywhere, in my opinion. And whereas the art defined it more than the actual characterization, in my opinion. So, Chris, I'll let you kind of go with that next. But before I let you have it, I just wanted to say, though, I will say the first one that John Wagner and him do is one of my favorites. But I just when I was trying to think about what comics do I want people to read, like I think it's just essential for the character. It just didn't really make it for me. So quite there. It's still good, or it's still solid, but John Wagner as a writer just doesn't do it for me. But that's just me. So, Chris, what do you want to say? How wrong I am?
So my thing with the stories like Death, Lies, and Treachery and Agent of Doom is that that's my Boba Fett, right? And it's kind of a continuation of the Boba Fett you see in Twin Engines of Destruction. He's quieter, he kicks a lot of ass, blows up a lot of stuff. That character doesn't have a lot of character, but to me, I don't know, that's what makes him cool. So I don't need like a ton of characters. As long as Boba Fett's like doing something really awesome and he's got like maybe some really cool one-liners in there, that's kind of like all I need. Like inject that right into my veins. The cool thing about Cam Kennedy too is that I know Boba Fett kind of came back in the Marvel series, but he also kind of came back in Dark Empire. That's kind of when people realized like, oh, Boba Fett's alive in the future. And then it was cool that Cam Kennedy kind of got a run with that, with Death, Lies, and Treachery, and revisiting Agents of Doom. So that kind of characterization of Boba, I really like. Now, I did come with another recommendation that I'll get laughed out of the room for, but I feel like a good explanation of why I think it's a must read if you enjoy Boba Fett. Can I share it? Enemy of the Empire. So it's story-wise not a great story, right? And it's so convoluted. It's a 4-issue series, and it's really just set up so that Boba Fett can fight Darth Vader, and this guy's somehow going to hold his own against Darth Vader, and he's going to come out unscathed, except for maybe the dent in the helmet. But that story came out when I was like 10, and Enemy of the Empire was literally like if I took my Darth Vader action figure and my Boba Fett action figure and said, I'm going to make up a story in my head and get these two to fight each other. That's literally what the story was. And there's something to be said for reading a comic where you can kind of shut your brain off, and it doesn't have to be the best story. It doesn't have to be, incredible characterization. That it's got good action. It's got just like I've always wanted to see that. It's like the Tales issue where Darth Vader fights Darth Maul. It's like it's completely nonsensical, but man, does it look cool. And I thought the artwork was good enough. I thought it was fun. If you've ever had that kind of just that childlike wonder of like, oh, what if Boba Fett fought Darth Vader? Like, what if the coolest Star Wars villain fought the other coolest Star Wars villain? What would that look like? That's what it looks like. I love it for that reason alone.
You're reminding me of did I mention this to you, Paul, on the last time we did a program? I mentioned this to somebody recently. I recently read Flint Dilley's book. You know who Flint Dilley is? He was a guy who was like the head writer for Transformers and for G.I. Joe for a while, and the Mr. T animated series, and the original showrunner for I think Droids, but they fired him early on. Anyway, at one point, his bosses at the animation company where he was working brought him into a room to work with a guy named Jack on some projects, and he didn't know who this guy was. Turned out it was Jack Kirby. And so they were trying to boil things down to their essence. And Jack Kirby said to him, do you know what the greatest age of comics was? And then he's going, the golden age? And he goes, no, 12. And this is what Chris is reminding me. The greatest age was 12. Yeah. And the things that you can do that can bring that back or evoke it, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing laughed out of the room.
Yeah,
there's nothing
absolutely.
easy about that.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
If it brings that feeling back to you, it's worthwhile.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where, I personally, I've read that recently for the first time in a while, or it's the art is like, it's rough. in my opinion, at times. And it was, again, those aren't bad. But again, it's John Wagner. John Wagner, for whatever reason, I cannot connect to him for whatever reason. So
Wasn't he a big 2000
you know,
AD writer?
but yeah, I did. Sorry, Scott. I think you cut out a little bit.
Oh, I just was saying, wasn't he a big 2000 AD writer? Wagner.
Yeah, Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
co-created Judge Dredd.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So yeah, no, and I think he's more of a satirical, if I said that right, writer. Like I think that's where he fit a little bit. Like early on when I was a kid, it just kind of, which it worked for Boba Fett. Yeah, it fits a little bit with the character, but it just gets tiresome for me. He's kind of a one kind of note. Again, not trying to be mean or anything. I want to read his Judge Dredd comics back in the day, but no, I think but the Cam Kennedy they're worth reading because it's Cam Kennedy, and I think they're solid. They're fun stories for the most part. So, anyway, so that's it. That's your comic book run to go with for, again, Marvel Star Wars 81 original Gangsta series. You've got Twin Engines of Destruction, and then Blood Ties Volume 1, in my opinion, I think is essential reading for Boba Fett fans. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate it. Super appreciate it. Chris, where can people find you on, man?
You can find me at Vile0 on Twitter. And sometimes doing this show.
I'm gonna get you on more, man. It's just life is. I told you every Tuesday. It's gonna be every Tuesday, people. There's gonna be a new show this Tuesday. Moon Knight. We're gonna read the first 6 issues of Charlie Houston and David Finch. David. Oh my God, what's his name? David Finch. David Lynch, David Finch, the artist. Moon Knight series. Basically, what?
Just give Bill Sienkiewicz a shout out in that episode.
Oh God, yeah, he's dude. His
Doug Manch, Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, that's that dude. I'm rereading and reading that run for the first time right now, and it is crazy. Sienkiewicz is amazing.
There's one panel in particular I'm thinking of. So good.
There's one I posted a while back that I came back to. It's with this guy who's trying to shoot Moon Knight.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, and he's firing the. Oh my God! I'm like, it's fucking brilliant. That's so goddamn brilliant. He's a genius. So anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna talk about, but to me, the Houston and Finch, that initial story, that initial run, is kind of what brought Moon Knight back on the map, to be honest. I mean, that kind of propelled him, kind of kept going, and he kind of grew a little bit, kind of like this, and then Ellis, and then, oh yeah, I love Moon Knight. He's one of my favorites. He's so good. I cannot wait for Wednesday. I'm so stoked. So yes, we'll get you on here soon, my friend. Get you on here soon. Scott, where can people find you on, you crazy celebrity?
At this point, do they want to find me? Yes. I'm on Twitter at Ryfin, also at My Star Wars Story, because that still exists. I'm actually working on an episode as we speak. Believe it or not. I know, it's crazy, but I figure I'll get one out a year and we'll be good. Also on Facebook, Scott Ryfin, SEOTTRYFUN. It's not easy to spell, but once you get it, you got it. And iHeartRadio app, Scott Ryfin, totally different kind of show, totally different show, but a very fun show.
Very, very different for people. For those of us who don't know, and so again, yeah, but definitely check it out because Scott is obviously a phenomenal talent. You may not agree with everything he says on that show, but you know what? Doesn't matter.
Well, maybe you will.
Maybe you will. But if you do check it out, just know Scott is a great guy, and I love Scott, and so that's why he's on the show. We may not agree on everything, but I love this guy to death. So, and by the way, thank you. I almost want to rewrite your tag for your name and name you Scotty Fun, really bad.
No. Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Love affair is over.
Yeah. All right. You told me that story years ago, and that was amazing. So, anyway, people, you can find me on Twitter, Herman22 with 2 N's, aka P Thug. Comic Binge. We're gonna be doing some comic stuff here soon. Thank you. And yeah, we're gonna be doing Moon Knight stuff. Yeah, whatever this is. Yeah, whatever. Doing a Moon Knight show next week, and then after that, we're gonna be doing a Ninja Turtles. I think the first volume of the Eastman. I blew Chris's mind.
Get me on
Maybe we'll see. I already got I got 4 people, including myself. We'll see if I can get you on there. But we'll see. But I know. But it's not the first time I'm going to be doing Star Wars or Ninja Turtles, dude. Come on. Yeah, hashtag every Tuesday. Thank you, Adam. And again, Adam's been on the show lately. He's we are regular as always. But anyway, so follow us there, and guys, thank you so much for coming on. And Chris Clow's in here, so I'm going to say it for him. Read more comics. Good night, everybody.